Welcome, my friends, to Conspiracy or Conspiracy. I'm Wes, the host of Conspiracy or Conspiracy. I haven't done this show in a while, but I thought this would be a good place to kick it off. So, I guess we're back to, normal psyops and distractions. So, on this show, we talk about government cover ups, conspiracies, deep state, New World Order, and things that go bump in the night. Halar, welcome, my friend. Yep. Gratitude, conspiracy or conspiracy engaged. Bringing back the legendary show that birthed an epic character and show. Yep, absolutely. Those of you that don't know, I'm writing I'm writing an animated series called Conspiracy Chronicles. We're almost done with part 1 of 4. Writing it, that is. Now we just need to get it made. So, do what we can. This one's been puzzling for me because there's been a lot of weird stuff that's happened over the past few days. There's the New Orleans New Year's attack, and then you have this Cybertruck attack. You have the background of the fact that they both went to Fort Bragg, which I guess the name has been changed to Fort Liberty. That's news to me. I didn't know that. I'll have to look up what was behind the change. And then they both rented their vehicles. One was an F-150 Lightning, an electric truck, if you're not familiar. That's the electric version. And then, so in New Orleans, he rented the F-150 Lightning on Turo. And Turo was also the site that the Cybertruck was rented from the Cybertruck bomber. So Turo is basically, I've seen it described as Airbnb for cars. And basically how that works is you've got a car and you put it on the app, you set a rate, and people can actually rent your vehicle. So that's something that seems to be getting lost in all of this this confusion, is that was actually a private owner's Cybertruck, most likely. So some guy got his truck blown up. That's I'm not sure. Most insurance doesn't cover terrorist events, I don't think, unless you're Larry Silverstein, of course. Then they do. But it's very interesting. I don't know that these coincidences matter. I almost feel like we're being trolled with this one, to be honest with you. I feel like this was meant to confuse whatever is happening here with both the New Orleans attack and with the one in front of Trump Tower. So clearly there's some kind of message being sent. But it's really confusing. And this is why I say this is a return to the psyops that we've had in the past, because nothing seems to make sense about this thing. You have the gentleman who was a Green Beret, and he was allegedly a Trump supporter, loved the country. People that talked to the guy said, no way this guy would do something like that. And you have the Cybertruck outside of Trump Tower, which is symbolic. And then you have him using like a Desert Eagle, allegedly, to self-delete. And a Desert Eagle, I know he's a Green Beret. That's a bit of overkill right there. That is a pretty powerful weapon. I'm not a gun enthusiast, but one of the guns that my brother had on his list, his bucket list of guns that he wanted to own, was a Desert Eagle. And it's a big caliber pistol. I think the Israelis make the Desert Eagle, isn't that right? But that seems a bit weird. And then, the types of explosives that he used, like fireworks. So clearly, it's about show and spectacle. I'm very confused by this one. It's almost like you were meant to connect the dots in a certain way. Oh, R says it's like a Smith & Wesson 500. I know nothing about guns, so don't beat me up if anybody's out there that's a gun enthusiast. Hail another monster. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Long time no see, my friend. Relaxation mode engaged. As much as it can be, anyway. So it's almost like they intentionally want us to connect the dots. You have the military ID and the passport that both were intact, despite the fact that he was burned beyond recognition in the Cybertruck. And that opens up its whole other can of worms. Because, okay, I know that like the Chevy Avalanche, for example. The Chevy Avalanche, and I'll bring up a picture here. But the Chevy Avalanche had the passenger compartment and the bed. There was like a pass-through between the bed of the truck and the passenger compartment. There was that like quasi homoerotic commercial with those two dudes where they're driving in the desert and they look at each other and they say, "Hey man, want to switch?" That's so I know that the Chevy Avalanche has the pass-through feature, but I don't know that the Cybertruck would have that pass-through feature, or for there to be any way for that explosion to enter the passenger cabin. So that's a question mark. So you have all the things that you would that somebody would associate with a false flag. The perfectly intact IDs, etc. The symbolism, the blatant, very blatant, over the top. This is where I am. This is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. And here's my ID, and now you know. It's really weird. Yeah. R says two dudes having a Big Mike moment. Oh, do we still have the Big Mike animation uploaded? Gotta have it. Oh. You know it. Never really gets old, does it?
You know anything about this?
Get it away from me.
Come on, man.
I had to log into my StreamYard to make the stream work because I don't have conspiracy. I don't have the conspiracy channel uploaded into Streamlabs. So this is where all the intro and stuff is. And then they changed StreamYard since I've been on it. Now they have a dark theme on StreamYard. Thank goodness. Quarter roll for the win. Yes. So we'll try to divine some truth here. But Ian Carroll over on Twitter X, I think, had the analysis that is closest to what I think is happening here. So let's see what he has to say. This guy is pretty good because he's very concise. Very concise and gets right to the point. So let's see here. We shall share. That it? No, it's not it. No, it's not it. Damn it. Good Lord. There we go. Quarter roll, clock tower swinging. Yeah. Here we go.
So the Tesla Cybertruck car bombing in Las Vegas has turned into the craziest reverse psyop story ever. and it's still developing.
Reverse
but I'm gonna
psyop.
run through all of the evidence in all directions that I have found so far, so hopefully it's easy to kind of pick up where we're at right now and see what comes next. First thing, super iconic, not an accident. But the question is, not an accident, why? And who's actually behind it? Because the media is pinning everything on Matthew Allen Livelsberger because they found his passport and his ID and a bunch of stuff of his in the car. Though the car blew up, passports always survive. And he's an active duty Green Beret that's been stationed mostly out of Germany and Colorado. And
So we all know the allusion here is the allusion to of course, the 9/11 passports, right? That you had this horrific collapse of the building, the plane crash, fire, brimstone, all that crap. And but the passports were perfectly intact. So that's what he's alluding to. And anybody that carried off this op or psyop has to know that. They have to be familiar with kind of the subculture of conspiracy theorists and theorizing. Let's see what else he has to say here. No, not spinny thing. That always happens when I'm streaming for some reason. I should have enough bandwidth. I think I'm way overdue. I think I'm way overdue for a new laptop, but unfortunately, we'll just have to make do with what we've got for now. Come on, man. Want to see what you're saying.
apparently gotten an email from this Green Beret dude the day before the bombing. And the email is crazy spicy, but
we'll get
it's
to that.
a little suspicious. If you haven't seen the Sean Ryan Show podcast episode yet, you should watch at least the first 30 to 45 minutes.
I have seen it. I'll post a link in a bit.
Put it on 2x speed. You should not believe everything that is said at face value. Remember, both these guys are military intelligence assets, former and current. This is the alleged email that Mr. Shoemate received. But notice that there are spell check red squigglies in here. And there's a cursor. And we've learned this before.
I don't... See, a lot's been made of... A lot's been made of the cursor and the squiggly lines, right? A lot's been made of that. I don't really see that as the gotcha that a lot of people do. I don't think it's as consequential as it's being made out to be. A lot of times, what I'll do when I want to copy and paste from an email is I'll hit the reply button, because that makes it easier to use those tools to copy and paste. And so that would generate the phenomenon that he's talking about here. I don't see that as being really consequential. But it is something to note. It is something to note. Let's keep going here, shall we?
This is not how an email appears when it is received in your inbox. This is how an email appears when... Like, stop it. But if this email is real, it's like the perfect food for the military-industrial complex and for World War III warmongering. But it gets weirder. So the Las Vegas officials and the FBI, who are totally trustworthy, have been assessing the scene. Hey, Gigi, don't do that. Stay over there. That's where they found the passport. They also found an incinerated Desert Eagle, which apparently he used to shoot himself in the head before the explosion. It was dropped on the floor right in between his feet in the driver's seat. And if you know anything about how powerful these guns are, and you imagine shooting yourself in the head with it and then it dropping straight down instead of like just flying into the not to mention that no one has reported any report from a gunshot in the car at the scene at the time, and that is like the most powerful handgun you can buy. A whole conspiracy on this thread is Teslas can drive themselves, and I don't know if anyone's ever tested the self-driving, because it'll watch you, and if you don't look upwards, it'll tell you to look, or it'll stop the self-driving, so you can't just look down at your phone or close your eyes and go to sleep. But has anyone ever tried it with a dead body that has its eyes open? Because that is probably possible. It's unclear, because allegedly the remains of...
I've never test driven a Cybertruck, so I don't know if that's the case or not. I think I've got the website up on their autopilot, and they call it full self-driving supervised. And on their site, it talks about attempts to drive you to your destination by following the curves in the road, making left turns, right turns. So driver intervention may be required. Yeah, I've not. We'll get to that in a bit here.
Of the person found in the front seat, though charred, burnt beyond recognition, the DNA did not match the DNA of this guy's recent child. Apparently his wife just broke up with him, and they were trying to paint that as like he's angry.
So I haven't heard of this one, and I don't even know where that one came from, how you would know that. So I would love to see if there's a link to that information. You have a soldier who was a Green Beret. I mean, PTSD, not really out of the question here. And then, of course, you have a military wife. There's a reason that Navy wives have a reputation they supposedly do. I've had friends in the Navy, and I've heard tons of stories about some of those, while the cat's away, the mouse will play, right? Or while the mouse is away, the cat will play. Whatever. R says it could be a message to Elon and Trump that they and their families are still on the hit list. That could be a message. I mean, we've already seen this movie before. We've just not seen it done in this way. We already know what lengths they'll go to try and get Trump.
Is like Green Berets get divorces all the time. Like maybe the kid wasn't his kid. I think it's more likely that the body wasn't his body.
So that's another possibility, that the body wasn't his body. I've got questions about the self-driving. I've got a lot of questions. I've got questions about the self-driving. So maybe the Cybertruck doesn't have it, but I'm sure it exists. And how hackable are these Cybertrucks? I'm really curious. Supposedly you use your phone to get into them. Yeah, anyway.
Because again, in the email that was allegedly sent by him, theoretically, it's very clear that he's not planning to kill himself. He's planning to escape to Mexico and to do this whole thing in order to bring attention to this and to whistleblow and to be taken seriously and to get this out to as much news and publicity as possible and then escape to Mexico. He says it 2 different times in this email. The trunk was loaded up with all these crazy fireworks, and there was some gas cans in the cab that caused the explosion to sort of...
See, the fireworks seem to be part of the symbol here, the symbology, because somebody like this, I don't really see them using fire. The fireworks almost seem like a joke, a troll. This almost seems like a troll. It's almost like it's a flex in a way. Like, we can carry off this op and confuse the shit out of you and just know that we can do it.
So a little unclear, but it seems like the explosion was intended to not cause a bunch of death, but just to cause a scene. Like, he chose a Cybertruck, which is bulletproof, like the worst car to build a car bomb in, and then he filled it with fireworks instead of he's a Green Beret. He could have built a real high power IED that could have blown the building up, theoretically. And then he says in the letter that he's trying to keep a low profile because he's being followed and they attempted to abduct him, but also that he's trying to keep a high profile because they know he has this IED, this car bomb rigged up.
How in the hell do I make videos like this with my phone, by the way? I am such a boomer. I can't figure that shit out for nothing. Continuing.
And so he got a Cybertruck, which is like, why would you get a Cybertruck? The police have had no trouble tracking the Cybertruck, both in Las Vegas on CCTV footage. and on its supercharger route across the country. The police said that they have tracked the purchase of the firearm, specifically the Desert Eagle, back in Colorado. There's a 3-day wait on purchasing a firearm in Colorado, so we had to have initiated the purchase 3 days before leaving Colorado to come to Las Vegas for this event. But then in the email, he gives like as confirmation that he is who he says he is. First off, I'm not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. Well, people verified. People pulled his vehicle records, and actually he has never owned a 1996, was it? Ford Mustang, or a 2006 Ford Mustang, but his first car was a Ford Mustang, just totally different year. So it's not really like, could be that because it's 30 years ago, it's his own car 20 years ago and he just forgot to make the.
You have to call bullshit on that. A man's never going to forget the make and model of his car. And look, he's owned the GT model, so he clearly, may not be a hardcore enthusiast, but he would at least be familiar with the car. Continuing.
The year, it could be like, why would you put the wrong verification in? Like, you'd think if it was someone else faking the letter, they would get the right verification because they wanted to get verified. You think if it was him, like maybe he misremembered it, maybe it's an intentional misverification. People are like, oh, maybe it was in his parents' name because everyone's first cars are in their parents' name. Well, people pulled his parents' car records too. Check out Landry22 if you want to see those on X. But then the Las Vegas police, the officials, released like manifestos that they found on his phone, which was like charred to oblivion. But they found these manifestos that like, this one is basically like, yo, all military personnel, go and take the Capitol right now. It's like really unhinged and retarded. And the other one, like, it's just like screenshot and read if you want. Like, the other one is just so weird. Then they released like video from his Tesla Cybertruck at the supercharge station that they said was in Las Vegas, but the internet has sleuthed around and pretty much confirmed that actually that was not in Las Vegas. It was in Arizona because there's a Carl's Jr. Next to the supercharge station. They were looking for photos where there's a supercharge station and a Carl's Jr. and it's in Kingman, Arizona, which is that stop right there before getting to Las Vegas. Plus the Green Beret chatter on YouTube and X, and everyone in the Green Beret and like Special Forces communities that are commenting on this, saying it does not line up at all. Like, he did not have the expertise to understand this kind of stuff about drones. He did not have the clearance. He wasn't even like stationed in the places where they said he was stationed. It's all very sus. Not to mention that he was like a TV star with Tim Kennedy like 10 years ago on some like Special Forces like game show, TV show. Whole other funny rabbit hole. But a bunch of guys know this guy. Like, a bunch of people on the internet right now have done operations and missions with him, or trained with him, or been stationed with him. So there's a lot floating around. And I don't have any answers. I don't know what's going on. But one thing that we can all agree on is that if the evidence starts pointing towards a war with China, or a war with Iran, or a war with Russia, it's probably the deep state setting you up for that war. And
so he goes into, his warning about the deep state, and I think those are some obvious warnings that everybody should take heed of, but they definitely are worth repeating. Yeah, I mean, let's get into the manifesto here, because let's get into the email, because apparently there's more than one manifesto. So essentially he'd, through, I guess, hold on. So I guess through some veterans group on Instagram or something, he had reached out to one of the gentlemen on that podcast. Forget which one. So it was on, bear with me here. I had the tab ready and then I clicked off of it. So apparently, he'd been contacting this gentleman who was a veteran, and apparently a lot of military whistleblowers and folks sneak this guy information. And before he sent the email, he was trying to get him to respond, the podcaster, not the gentleman we just watched, another one. Let's go ahead and read the manifesto here, because this shit gets a little wild. Sorry, bear with me here. Twitter really is finicky when it comes to resizing documents for some reason. All right, I'll do my best to read it here. Yeah. Let's see what happens. It doesn't get reported on this week. We shall see. It's been a strange week. You know, I don't understand that there's been a lot of controversy about Musk, and despite the censorship, see, here's the funny thing. Okay, just an aside here, folks, just a segue. So there seems to be a taken away of checks, and the people are saying critical that you know, they've been critics of Musk. What these people really seem to be critics of is Israel and you know, Israel's backers, we'll say. And so that seems to be a lot of the people that are being targeted by Musk. Now, I notice those people have been targeted, and yeah, their blue checks have been removed. I'm on Twitter X. But what I've noticed with Twitter X, personally, anecdotally, has been actually that I'm seeing a lot more of alternative stuff in my feed. I'm actually seeing a lot more of the, you know, the smaller, more niche-y, I guess, conspiracy folks that are out there. You know, your David Icke's, for example. Which was weird because I thought I'd followed David Icke, but I was unfollowed, so I had to refollow him. I was like, oh, David Icke's on here? So it seems to be with Schroyer. Yeah. And Stu Peters. Definitely, I think would fall in that category of critic of Israel. And, well, it's not just a critic of Israel. I guess Zionism would be, I don't want to say the word. I'm not going to say it. You know, it's I'll type it in the chat. But that's who they're criticizing. And the criticism is that you can't criticize those folks. So, but I'm, you know, mum's the word. Which, you know, it's great. Stu Peters has been doing some of the best shows I've seen him do in a while. All right. Another AT. So here it is. This was sent on December 31st, 2024, 10:42 a.m. Says the subject line is forward initial contact. So I guess the gentleman received it, then he forwarded it to the person he went on the podcast with. I think his name was Sean. In case I do not make it to my decision point or on the Mexican border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until the 1st of January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I'm not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. And we just saw, I don't know if you saw it, but the vehicle history list that they pulled up actually said it was a 1998 V6 Mustang, and that the latest one was a 2018 Mustang GT. So, I mean, the 98 is very different looking from a 2006. So his verification was wrong. I don't know why he would give a bad detail like that. I digress. What we have been seeing with drones, in quotation marks, is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China in the East Coast, but throughout history, the US. Only we in China have this capability. Our OPSEN location for this activity is in the box below. I don't know what OPSEN is. I need to look that one up. OPSEN. Oops. Guess it'd help if I spelled it correctly. Operations Center. Okay. All right. Our OPSEN location for this activity is in the box below, and supposedly he gives Groom Lake as a location. See, this is like a conspiracy sampler plate, is what you're getting here. See, this is what's weird about it. Is that this really is like the conspiracy buffet? You've got international intrigue, you've got the 9/11 style passport found in the vehicle intact after he's been burned up. Got a mysterious bombing with two very clearly defined, targets in there. You have or the location, clearly defined location, the Trump Tower. And the Cybertruck. I think that's obvious. And then you have the ties to Fort Bragg. It's just like you get a little bit of everything with this one. Conspiracy Golden Corral, all you can eat buffet. I didn't see a thing about about fractional reserve banking yet, though. Maybe give it time. Hello, Conspiracy Town. Welcome, my friend. Cool avatar. I like that. Always good to welcome my conspiracy friends into the fold. So the box was of Groom Lake. So what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned AC. I'm gonna have to look up AC. Sorry. This is what I get for not being nerdy enough. Aerial, I don't know. AC, military speak. Active component, which is another term for active duty. Okay. All right, I got you. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capability and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. So I've heard some people say that this alludes to an assassination attempt on the president. But I kind of view it more as decapitation is what he's talking about. Continuing. The USG, that's U.S. government, I know that one. The USG needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them, and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere in the East Coast. So we'll keep going here. I'll ask the questions after I'm done. Been a follower for over a week from likely Homeland or FBI. I've been followed for over a week now from likely Homeland or FBI. They are looking to move on me and are unlikely to let me cross into Mexico. But Won't, because they know I am armed and I have a massive VBIED, which I guess that's an improvised explosive device, some manner of it. I'm trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they're definitely digitally tracking me. I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during the airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan in 2019 by the administration, DOD, DEA, and CIA. Well, the administration in 2019 was Donald J. Trump. So, who are we criticizing here? I conducted targeting for these strikes of over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of the CIVCAS. The hell? See, I don't. Civilian casualty. Okay. That killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. U.S. FORA continued strikes after spotting civilians on initial ISR. ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, if you didn't know. I didn't. It was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft and CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up with U.S. FORA and agent blah, blah, blah of the DEA. That's redacted. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I worked with General Miller's IO staff on this, as well as the response to Bola Marskrab, AOBS commander at the time. Blank can validate this. You need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war, because this is a mutually assured destruction situation. For vetting, my LinkedIn is Matt Berg or Matthew Livisberger, an active duty 1BZ out of 1 to 10, my profile is public. I have an active TSSCI with UAP USAP access. Then there's another one there. Do not message me. I will send out updates via both Signal and email. But trust me, you're going to want to be involved, it says at the bottom. So, yeah. So we've gone into like the UAP UFO area here, which is kind of what I'm alluding to. This being the conspiracy smorgasbord, the conspiracy sampler plate, the golden corral of conspiracies, and that you're getting a little bit of everything here. So China on the East Coast doesn't make a lot of sense to me. China on the East Coast, but maybe that's why they would do it. So I do notice that the drones have disappeared from the news. Hail Terry Rose, welcome my friend, good to see you. Yep, still have the conspiracy channel. So here's what I'm concerned about. So there's several possibilities here. Number one, he's telling the truth about the drones and that they are Chinese drones. Or number two, it's complete fabricated bullshit and it's not true at all. So, would the U.S. government tell us if China had these capabilities? Probably not. Them doing that with drones over a city like that would be an act of war. That would be a major provocation if that were the case. Trump kind of alluded to the fact that they are likely our own. So we've got several theories about the drones, and this is where the conspiracy smorgasbord comes in too. Is this a distraction from the story that they were drones sniffing for a loose nuke? Is it that kind of a psyop? They felt they needed to do something this extreme to take us off the trail, because this gentleman here does not seem the type to do this from what we've seen. At least not what colleagues have said and friends and people that have known him. They seem to think he's not that type of guy that would, I mean, I just don't know what the solution would be if China has that kind of capability. I mean, here's the scary thing. Here's the scary thing if it's true. We've done a lot of really bad stuff in the world with our hegemony and our really, the United States is a unipolar superpower. We went the wrong way with that, especially after 9/11. We became very aggressive in the world. And so if we're getting to a point where, the world is catching up with us, these people aren't going to care if you have the people around the world, these other nations, they're not going to care if you have, Netflix, or if you're having a steak dinner, or give two shits about your standard of living. Especially China. China is basically an ethno-state. It's basically a fascist ethno-state. It is everything that, a lot of these blue-haired weirdos, the useful idiots and bots on Twitter were kind of railing against. It's like, no, China's the racist society. And they're very racist over there. They're not just racist against, they're really racist against black people in China. But, like the Chinese tend to view Koreans and Vietnamese as lesser. And then you have, the Han Chinese are the major ethnic group, but there are other ethnic groups. And those other ethnic groups are not treated so well. The Uyghurs might be a good example of that. They're not treated well. And so if those people want to control the world, for them, this might not seem like a bad time to do that, especially given the last 4 years. So it's not. I mean, it would be a very interesting time to be alive. But what would be a really big surprise is that our government has kept so many secrets from us that a lot of people that don't go down these rabbit holes and look into this stuff are going to be surprised if something kicks off. Me personally, if something kicks off, I would not be surprised. I think the world is, not very happy with Uncle Sam right now. But we'll see what happens. I mean, but think about it. You're the head of a third world nation. Your nation is shit. Your people are starving most of the time. But your people are very hardworking. And then you look and you see these slothy, just gluttonous fucking entitled lazy pigs ruling the world. I mean, you're probably not going to feel too bad about blowing up a city or two. Yeah, plus those slovenly fat fucks, they'd probably give up quickly. I mean, in the mind of the enemy, of course. RR says, the banks and financial institutions always get to the point where they have to battle each other for the real assets to recollateralize their next Ponzi monetary global order. Yep. Yeah, Ray Dalio talked about that stuff. And gave, a lot of examples in history where that exact same thing has happened. The Dutch being a pretty big one. You know, people don't really think of the Dutch. There's the Dutch, there's the Spanish, there's the English, the Roman Empire. And basically his general thesis was that civilizations have cycles, and he's absolutely right. But we'll see. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it on the other channel, but we'll talk about it here for our other audience. And that's, you know, the monetary system. They're struggling to find, you know, eliminating all the other conspiracy theories about, you know, what backs the dollar, petroleum. We are, you know, it's like $35 trillion in debt. And then we have the unfunded liabilities behind that. Thinking, you know, they're thinking of a way out of that. Our says we're in a very precarious position, just have to stay on guard. Yep. Yeah, this is very strange. It's just you have, you know, it's not like you have gray shaded dots on the on like, you know, off-white paper, and you're like, where are the dots at? And you're trying to connect the dots. Like, the dots are intentionally there for you to connect. The only other question is the situation in New Orleans with the F-150 Lightning. So aside from the dots that connect between them, the Fort Bragg history, the electric truck history, and Turo. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. I don't know where those dots connect. But this is pretty wild. You know, I almost feel like we're returning to an era when they wanted their psyops. You know, I feel like this is a much more professional psyop than what we've been seeing. And one of the things, and we didn't see this part in Ian Carroll's video, but Ian Carroll talked about how this psyop is the first one that really takes advantage of the fact that the legacy media is basically dead. And that whoever planned this psyop was well versed in the realities of the new media and multimedia landscape. And in a sense, knowing that landscape and the culture that we have, where there are different places to get your, you know, sources of news, the speculation, things going viral, things of that nature, that whoever planned that is aware of this and basically is trying, you know, this was basically a test psyop to test out how the public reacts to this psyop. So that's something to think about. I was like, huh, maybe. But because if you think about it, the person that planned the psyop is the only one that knows what happened. If there was somebody that planned this or a team of people that planned it, and if the two are related, I mean, the two could have been totally compartmentalized, but whoever compartmentalized them knows what's going on. And they would be able to easily monitor what the public response is to something like this. Are you kidding me? Setting off fireworks, one dude in a truck? It's a cheap psyop right there. But yeah, it'll be an interesting year, I think. I do feel slightly more optimistic than I did before Trump won. I'm very concerned about Musk's influence because it seems like Musk is ushering in everything that the alternative media said that it was against, and that Musk is holding the switch. RS says history shows that there is a recurring pattern to human civilizations. Unfortunately, it seems even when we recognize this, we are helpless to prevent it from happening. Yep. Really does. Well, I mean, people win, then they game the system, and then they're in charge, and then they realize that the only way they can be in charge is by gaming the system. But by that time, their descendants have gotten so fat and happy, they don't appreciate what they have, and they blow it. Somebody else comes along that's more capable and talented and knocks them off the pedestal. Oh, that's where I lost my thought. Yeah, one of the things that happened in Weimar, Germany, that they don't talk about was what happened when they got rid of the when they changed the currency, when they went to the Reichmark. And what happened was that basically things got inflated to nothing, and they put the German people on some version of UBI. But all the businesses still had their assets. So basically, their debts were essentially forgiven. But the people got completely screwed. They got UBI. It seems to be kind of where they're rolling us, what they're rolling us into. R says dollar store psyop. Yep. Pretty much. Yeah, it's They say he definitely shot himself in the head before he blew up the Cybertruck. Sean Ryan, that's the guy, the Sean Ryan show. So yeah, it's been confirmed that that was his manifesto. Yeah, I'll have to check out that that Tesla self-driving feature. But you know what? Michael Hastings, the reporter that whose Mercedes blew up, allegedly that was hacked. You know what? Even at least the mainstream media back then had Richard Clarke, the former counterterrorism czar, on there to say, "Yeah, we can hack cars. Are you kidding me?" And the Mercedes, the Benzes run everything through the computer on those. My brother had one, a 3 Series. It was, I think he had a C. No, wait, I'm sorry, 3 Series. That's a BMW. The C class, and I think Michael Hastings had a C Coupe, which is on the same platform. So yeah, they run everything through the computer on those. Very difficult to fix. Terry Rose says, I saw for 2 seconds before it was deleted that the 2 guys were soldiers that were in a special psychological program. Anything to that? I saw that too. It's been walked back that basically Fort Bragg has a PSYOP, psychological warfare training there. But I don't know to what extent either of them participated in it. If you have any links, I'd love to take a look at it. Yeah, this is it's been a weird week. It's been a strange week with Musk. Musk the backlash that started with that H-1B visa thing. I was actually quite proud of people for finally doing a deep dive on Elon Musk, because you know that we've been talking about this on this channel and the old channels pretty much all along, I think. I distinctly remember our good friend Culture Casino and I getting into a very, very, very good debate about Elon Musk. And, I think we each had some good points during that debate. He's a much better debater than I am, though. So hats off to him. But no, I think I've been a Musk skeptic for a while. I mean, and so it's really good to see people, coming out of their hype trance and actually doing some diligence and looking into the man. So I'm like, whoa, wait a second. Brain chips, self-driving cars. He wants the everything app. Isn't that everything that we're fighting against? Oh no, he's the good guy. Okay. Yeah, I think even during our Laura Logan interview that Drew and I did, we asked her about Musk. I asked her about Musk, and she had a pretty good answer. She seems to have changed her tune on Twitter X now, if you guys are following her there. Hello, the lovely Sherry. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Yeah, we haven't streamed on here for a while. I think she typed on there, brain chips, no thanks, which it seemed to be a change from, because I think I asked her in her specific reply to why Musk was a good guy was the brain chip and that it was giving people mobility. But you know what? She wants to interview him, and I've not seen that Laura Logan Elon Musk interview yet. Laura Logan's from South Africa. She's a good interview, and she's tough, but I don't think she's like a bomb thrower or anything. I think she'll be fair in an interview like that. I would like to see that. I'd like to see that. I'd like to hear them talk about, run the gambit like we did in our 3.5 hour interview that Drew and I did with her. Yeah, some very strange stuff here. Well, I don't think January 20th can come fast enough, but this is going to be a very interesting year. I think one of the predictions that I saw was that crypto is going to take over for the US dollar. R says Musk is only funded by 6 different intelligence agencies. Pretty much. Oh, and he's the #1 defense contractor when you take all of his contracts in totality. So he's in space, he's in cars, he's got the boring company, so tunnels. For your sake and my sake, I hope he's a good guy. So it's going to be an interesting end of this decade and beginning of the next one. Oh, man. See, this sucks. This blows. I'm not going to get a retirement. There's not going to be Social Security for me. I'm just going to walk into old age in complete and total poverty and just be completely fucked, possibly under Chinese occupation. Thank you very much, you assholes. Terry Rose says, I'm into some of that. One guru says buy, another says sell. very confusing. Yeah. Well, what else we got here? Yeah, that's so. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have been seeing it, but David Icke has been calling out Infowars, and Stu Peters, I think, called out Infowars, and Greg Reese quit Infowars. So here's another thing that is confusing for me, and it's like psyop. Is this, is there high level coded communication happening here that I'm not aware of? Because this Trump tweet is just a little bit weird. Our country is a disaster, a laughingstock all over the world. This is what happens when you have open borders with weak, ineffective, and virtually non-existent leadership. DOJ, FBI, and Democratic state and local prosecutors have not done their job. They are incompetent and corrupt, having spent all their waking hours unlawfully attacking their political opponent, me, rather than focusing on protecting Americans from outside and inside violent scum that has infiltrated all aspects of our government and our nation itself. So far, it's sounding like your typical Donald Trump tweet. Let's keep going here. Democrats should be ashamed of themselves for allowing this to happen to our country. The CIA must get involved now before it is too late. The USA is breaking down. A violent erosion of safety, national security, and democracy is taking place all across our nation. Only strength and powerful leadership will stop it. See you on January 20th. Make America great again. The CIA must get involved now before it is too late. So, the CIA, of course, Mark Lane, anyway, came to the conclusion, and I think it's correct, that the CIA is basically who took out Kennedy. So his appeal for the CIA to get involved, a lot of people are like, why is he asking the CIA to get involved? I think my interpretation of it, and maybe I'm wrong, my interpretation of this sentence being in this tweet is twofold. One, I'm watching you, CIA, and I'm putting your name out there so people start thinking about the CIA, because the CIA doesn't operate domestically. They're not supposed to operate domestically. So it's very interesting to me. So you have that he's calling them out. And number two, I think he's warning them off. I think this is his way of saying, hey, you guys better get a handle on your people. I think that might be his way of talking to the white hats, saying, you need to get a handle on your people. You can't let this happen. So that's my interpretation. I don't know. Could be right. Maybe it's not. RR says, Jones had to make a deal. I think he did have to make a deal. Which, given the enormous amount of pressure he was under, I don't... Hey, look, I'm an Alex Jones fan. I will always be an Alex Jones fan. A lot of those people that are criticizing him now are people that owe a large degree of their following to their past association with Jones. I think Jones is a good, decent man with a good heart. But, Look, I don't blame the guy if he had to. And I think that InfoWars still gives a lot of great information and analysis. So I'll continue to be a fan and continue to support Alex Jones. Hats off, sir. Yep. Yeah, Trump is staying on guard. Yep. Well, I'd love to hear more about the drone situation, what it actually is. We'll probably find out soon enough. See, Trump is going in not with as strong of a hand as he had in 2017. These last 4 years have been a total disaster. So, I mean, he's coming in with a bunch more debt. He's coming in with the world not respecting us. And I think probably we don't have as much clout as we had. We are a much weaker nation than we were. Can't judge someone who's on the battlefield. Just be aware of the situation. Yeah. I'm not going to read too much into it. It's on whatever the relationships are with those folks. You know, a lot of them have opinions that I don't necessarily agree with. I don't agree with them all the time, any of them. But it's. I'll tell you what, they are all more accurate than the mainstream media. So that's a good thing. Is this designed for infighting? One of the assertions that Jones made on his show a couple of days ago was that it seemed like this was designed to cause infighting in the Patriot, the MAGA, the populist movement that we have. And as far as the criticisms that I've been seeing of Jones, aside from David Icke telling him that he was on his knees for Elon Musk, you can interpret that however you like. Most of the criticism has been very specific. With respect to, hey, why aren't you criticizing Musk for this? Why aren't you, this seems like a huge reversal. Why are you white knighting for this stuff? We need to nip it in the bud early here to keep these people accountable. So, most of the criticism has been constructive criticism. Now, the bigger picture, not knowing which side, if you think that, look, if you think it's a question of tactics and that Musk is with the deep staters, that getting Jones to make the deal, if there was a deal, if it's just like, don't say this, would that be the tactic used to cause to sow discord and create infighting? That's where we're getting into that 4D chess situation. Maybe. I don't think so. I think these people are a lot more straightforward than we give them credit for. I think they're really good at creating rabbit trails, though. The rabbit trails. Yeah, that's one of the things when you're looking for rabbit holes, a lot of times you go down a rabbit trail. And there doesn't seem to be a shortage of rabbit trails out there, especially when it comes to this thing. So I guess hang in there, and we'll see how the situation unfolds, and probably will be covering it from time to time on this channel or the other channel. That is our show here on Conspiracy or Conspiracy. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Love to hear from you. With that, we will see ya.